I've been told it is time to get started. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go through a few stats here. A 9-time Idaho State champion in high school, a 7-time NCAA Division III champion, a 5-time USA champion, a 2-time Olympian, a 2013 World Silver Medalist. You really let us down there, Nick. Silver is the only one you come up with. Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Symmonds. So let us officially welcome you back to Massachusetts, Nick. It's been a while since we've seen you.
Yeah, I think it was February. Thank you all for coming out. I was just saying how I'm a West Coast kid, born and raised out there, but every time I come to Massachusetts, especially Boston area, it feels like a home away from home because the running community is so close here. And seeing all you out here, you blew New York out of the water, and I think DC will have trouble matching this. So thank you.
Excellent job. Excellent job. A few questions to get us started. Number one, let's talk about how you got started in running back in the day. How did it happen?
Excellent question. I go into detail about it in the book. Some of you purchased it. It was a lot like many of you joined. I was a soccer player. I was an ice hockey player, and I wanted to turn pro in one of those sports, but I was a little bit too small. I was about 5 foot tall and maybe 95 pounds when I started high school. So the soccer coach suggested that I go out for the cross country team. And I was number 2 man on varsity my freshman year, so I thought I probably ought to stick with this. But there's some other influencers in there, particularly a girl. And so if you read the story, I think you'll get a kick out of that. But you know, I enjoyed running. I enjoyed running for the team aspect of it. I think we all kind of get into it for that reason. A friend invites you out, but along the line, I kind of fell in love with the sport of running, and I just love the community aspect of it.
So it seems like right off the start, you said you were number 2 on the team as a freshman. At what point in your high school career did you think, I might be pretty good at this, I might have a future at this sport?
I guess in high school I never really thought that. I went to a Division III university, so anyone from a D3 school out there, there we go, good to see you. I went to a D3 school because I wanted to focus on academics, and I never thought that running would take me to an Olympic Games or I could turn a career out of it, but I just knew that I wanted to see how good I could get. And I would say even to this point, I still don't feel like I've run my fastest times yet, and that's what keeps getting me out the door every day and running my miles is I just want to know how good I can get and continue to set PRs.
Breakthrough race. When was your breakthrough, what would you categorize, or what race would you think or say was your breakthrough race?
Another great question. There's been a lot of breakthrough races that kind of take you up to the next level, but for me, when I knew that the path that I'd chosen was the right one, that I'd really made all these sacrifices and invested so much of my time and energy, for me that was pre-classic of 2007. And I just signed my first pro contract, but had a lot of doubts. Am I wasting my time? Should I be in school, or should I be should I be doing something else with my time? And in that race, I was just a place filler according to the meet director, and I ended up winning it with a 2nd personal best and beat the Olympic gold medalists. And I thought, I guess I'm doing the right thing here.
That is pretty incredible. Right now, does anybody in the crowd have a question for Nick Symmonds? Anybody? Just raise
Nothing
your
off
hand.
limits.
Nothing is off. Oh boy. Anyone? Come on. Who's got a question? Ms. Coach Julie Collins. What
100-meter PR. I've never actually raced one, but in practice I've run some 10.9s on the fly. So I don't know if I could do that out of blocks. It'd probably be about 14 seconds out of blocks.
Who's the hardest person you've played? The
Toughest competitor? That's tough. I've never beat David Rudisha. I think I've beaten every single other competitor in the world at one point or another, but not David. But he's a physical freak, so that doesn't count. Honestly, when I get asked, the toughest race I ever ran, the deepest I ever dug, it was actually in high school. I was a junior, and it was a cross-country race. It was districts, and I hadn't lost a race all year, and we were going up against Valley View, our big competitor, and a guy named Bobby Haynes, and I traded the lead 25 times in 5 kilometers, and literally I don't think I've ever dug deeper to try to win a race, and it meant nothing really. I mean, we were going to go to state either way, but I just, I really truly went to the well that day to try to beat him. I ended up losing, but it was a really good race. 5'10" on a good day. I'm about 5'9½". I still haven't gotten over the fact that I was short in high school. If you read about this, that was a lot of insecurities, and I think a lot of high schoolers can kind of identify with that it's a tough time in your life where you're insecure about a lot of things. And for me, I had a lot of self-doubt and insecurities, and running kind of gave me that sense of identity and a lot of sense of self-worth. So I'll always be grateful for running for that.
You recently changed sponsors. You're now running with Brooks. What is the shoe that you're currently training in? What's your favorite?
I got them on right now. It's a beautiful Ravenna, named after one of the running trails in Seattle. And it's been an awesome switch. I loved running with Nike. They were great, and especially particularly Oregon Track Club, where I ran for 7 years. But I just really felt that I needed to change, and I felt that Brooks matched my personality better, and it's been an awesome transition so far.
Let's talk a little bit about that personality. You're certainly extremely outgoing. As you said here, nothing is off limits. You are an activist. You say that you don't hold punches. How has that kind of worked for you, and how has that maybe worked against you?
Yeah, great question. A lot of time athletes are afraid to speak their mind for fear of alienating fans or sponsors. And I guess I kind of came to the understanding that if you're running well, fans and sponsors will stick by you. So I'd had incredible consistency over the last 7 years, and I kind of worked up the courage to speak what was on my mind, which my mom and dad had kind of always taught me to do. And so yeah, I've spoken out against a lot of different things that bothered me. Most notably was when I was out in Russia last year. They had passed some anti-gay propaganda laws, and a lot of my followers identify as LGBT. And wanted me to protest, wanted me not run at all in the World Championships. And so I decided that I needed to do my job and represent my country and win a medal. But once that was done, then I was able to actually speak out against the discriminatory laws that they had passed. So a lot of that's in the book, and some other stuff that I've spoken out on that's very important to me. And again, running has just given me that platform and given me the confidence to be able to do that.
Another question from a fan.
Wow, you pay attention. No, I'm not going to be on The Bachelor. There was some talks between my publicist and the producers, but I am single, and I would love to meet my wife, but I don't think I'm going to do it on national TV.
Yes, you right here.
I would love to, but I leave at 7 a.m. to fly to D.C. That's not happening. Yeah. What was my favorite part about running D3? I would say my favorite part about going to D3 University was being able to develop a lot of different interests and aspects of my personality. At a D1 school, I told a lot of coaches that I wanted to major in biochemistry or pre-medicine. They said, not at my school, you're just not going to be able to balance running and everything else. I told them I wanted to be in a fraternity, and they said, not at our school. And so at a Division III school, I was able to really get the full college experience. I had a part-time job. I majored in biochemistry. I was in a fraternity. It ended up being a good match for me. But again, and if you read the book, I put running kind of lower on my priority list than a lot of other people might have. For me, it went family, school, social life, running. And it wasn't really until I turned about 21 or I was a senior in college that I really decided to make running my #1 priority. Yeah. It was a big jump. Like I said, in my mind, those were my priorities. And one day I just kind of said, I wonder how good I could be if I made running my #1 priority, or #2, because family's kind of always come first for me. So I decided that running was going to take priority over school and social life, and I just kind of doubled down on that play and went from 1:48 my junior year of college to 1:45.8 and second in the U.S. my senior year. And that got me a contract with Nike and the deal with OTC, and then kind of the rest is history. Yeah. Into college running it's probably the toughest transition you'll make, and everything's about finding that list of priorities in your own mind and putting energy where energy needs to be put, because you're going to be pulled 100 different ways in social life, in running, in academics, and ultimately there's only so many hours in a day, and you have to allocate those hours appropriately. And it's really hard for people to do because they have so many passions and so many interests, and your coach and your professors are certainly going to see that you're spending too much time at one or the other. But you know, I look at the Wheaton girls here, and I think about my D3 days, and I think about all you high schoolers out there who are already learning time management skills. Make that list of priorities and then really follow that list. It can be hard to do. Yeah.
What we'd like to do right now, for those of you that haven't seen the World Championship race from 2013, we'd love to show it to you here. But here we go. This is the World Championship 800-meter final from 2013.
Lindstore, Sargi will be on the inside. He's looked broken in the heat. He looked tired in the semi-final. He is the world's #1 this year.
So let's talk a little bit about this race. It's moments before the start of the race. You're in your lane. What's going through your mind? How do you keep calm just before a World Championship final?
Yeah, and I go into really deep detail about this particular race because it is really the defining moment of my career to this point. I'd been in 4 global finals, and everyone kind of said, you know, he's great at making finals, but he'll never win a medal. He's just never in it. So I kind of changed my strategy a little bit here and put myself more up front and really kind of took a gamble, but it ultimately paid off. And I just kept I remember the entire week going into it knowing that Radisha wasn't there, that Amos wasn't there, that all of the medalists from 2012 weren't there. I just kept saying, don't waste this opportunity. You know, put it out there and make sure that you can look back, even if you don't medal, that you put yourself in the race to actually have a chance to go for it. And it did work out. I mean, I didn't end up beating him on. I never meet him all year, but he's the only person I lost to, I think, at a final in 2013.
You just said that you changed your tactics up a bit. You've been known as a runner that kind of, you know, is further back in the pack. You rely so greatly on your kick. Do you feel that your critics will often say that you're, like you just said, you're never up front, you're never in the race, you're too far back?
Yeah, for me, it was just a long transition over 7 years to actually get the speed necessary to run with these guys. You know, you look at Dwayne Salmon. Dwayne Salmon can split a 44-second 400. He's run 45 low many times. My 400 best going into this race was 47.4. So these are guys that can run a quarter 3 seconds faster than me. But I'm a miler. I run 3:52 for the mile. So it was a 7-year work in progress to be able to get the speed to be able to go out with those leaders. The fact that I'm on Dwayne's shoulder at 400, that was, you know, Dwayne and I raced for 8 years. It's the first time I'd ever hardly been on his shoulder, I think.
Last time you were in Boston for the indoor games, you kind of got banged up a little bit. You've been coming back from injury now. What were you doing in that time to kind of prepare yourself to get back training? And, you know, how is training going now?
Yeah, I know some of you out there may have a love-hate relationship with indoors like I do. I grew up in Idaho where I never ran indoors, so when I come out east and race at the Reggie Lewis Center or any of the other indoor tracks on this coast, it's very difficult for me. My body doesn't know what to do, and a lot of times my left knee ends up getting really swollen, and this was the first time in 5 years that I'd attempted a full indoor season. It kind of left me banged up, but really what I think it was, it took about 3 months to get through it, but I needed that break mentally and physically, and I think that it's important to remember that rest is an equally important part of training as the actual logging in of miles. So now I'm as fresh and hungry as ever, and it's exactly what I needed for this 2-year build-up for 2016.
And before we go to the book signing and autograph signing, final words, some advice for the high school and college athletes that are here today? This will sound cliche, but just enjoy it, because this year when I was injured, it dawned on me that my running career may actually be coming to an end, and that was a thought that I'd never had in 15 years of running. And it was painful for me to watch the high schoolers run track and field, or just to watch the college kids back at University of Oregon race. I had these feelings of nostalgia, and I just miss high school and cross country so much. Seeing you guys out here today, decked out in your Westwood shirts, seeing the Wheaton girls out here. I mean, I loved my high school and college days running.
We're gonna